Welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective with Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. Planning for your financial future means navigating challenges like market volatility, inflation, and retirement income. Pankinen Financial Perspective is here to help by addressing common financial concerns, sharing valuable strategies, and exploring ways you can work toward your financial goals. Now let's get started with Pankinen Financial Perspective.
Hello and welcome to the Pankinen Financial Perspective. My name is Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 952-873-2703 or visit us online at pankinenfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. And while at my website, click on the radio page to check out past shows, to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Or click the link at the top of our homepage to get the latest retirement guide. During today's episode, we'll be utilizing a recent Kiplinger article that has a headline, 7 Practical Steps to Kick Off Your 2026 Financial Planning. As 2025 draws to a close, a lot of families are doing more than just glancing at their portfolios. They're looking beyond the numbers to think about what those numbers mean for their lives, their goals, and their loved ones. For a long time, we believe financial success was mostly measured in performance, outpacing benchmarks, growing net worth, and maximizing returns. But the landscape has shifted. Now that the One Big Beautiful Bill Act has settled on key tax questions, and with inflation still cutting into buying power, many people are asking something deeper. Do our financial strategies still reflect the kind of life we want to live? It is a fair question. With a state tax exemption now set to $15 million for 2026, a lot of uncertainty is finally lifted. Still, that clarity doesn't make the rest of the picture simple. Rising costs, unpredictable borrowing rates, and constant political headlines can make it tough to feel like you're truly confident about your future. You know, it's kind of like trying to plan a picnic, and you finally pick the perfect day, and then the weather changes. But before we get started, let me bring in my co-host, Tony Shore, someone who's always prepared for the financial weather forecast.
Well, I always bring my financial planning umbrella. That's for sure. You want to make sure you're prepared for those rainy, windy days. And that's why I work with a trusted financial professional, and our listeners should as well. So listeners, if you want to give Ashton and the team there at Pankinen a call, you should go ahead and do that. What's that phone number again if they have questions?
Yeah, give us a call here at 952-873-2703. Again, that's 952-873-2703.
All right. Sounds good. I'm excited about the show today. I've been doing good. How have you been? Are you ready for Christmas? You got all the gifts bought, all the plans made?
We've been good. We were just talking about this the other day. It's like we already are celebrating one Christmas this weekend.
Oh, wow.
And then Christmas will be here. And so, it's fast upon us, and my wife has gotten most of the gift buying taken care of. So we're on pace.
Well, I'll be headed down toward Worthington, and at some point, I imagine you'll be headed down to Wyndham.
Yeah, we're going to head down there Christmas Eve. So
Christmas Eve. Okay. I'll look for you. I know it.
Honk if you're driving by.
Yeah. I'll honk. All right. Yeah. I'll honk and wave. Yeah. I'll make sure you hear and see me. I'll stop by and see what kind of food, what kind of spread you got there. I'll just invite myself over. Wouldn't that be a surprise?
That would be nice. That would be a great surprise.
This is my co-host. Not sure what he's doing here, but it's right on I think where you'll be is probably right on the way to where I'm going to go see my family.
Yeah, we're right there. So
that's good. Well, hey, this show does sound good. Between new laws, inflation, there's always uncertainty in the markets, even though we've had almost 3 years of record highs. People are wondering where it's going next. It really does feel like a good time to pause and make sure our financial strategies match our priorities, right?
Yeah, and during today's episode, again, we're going to be looking at this Kiplinger article. Has the headline, 7 Practical Steps to Kick Off Your 2026 Financial Planning.
Yeah, and one thing that stood out to me in preparation for today's episode from the notes you gave me is how, I know you've talked a lot in the past about aligning wealth with life, and that kind of ties in here. What does that actually mean in practice?
Great question, Tony. For a long time, people have viewed financial success mostly through the lens of numbers, that whether that be returns, tax savings, or just hitting that certain net worth goal. But real success isn't just about how much you accumulate. It's about whether your money is actually supporting the kind of life you want to live.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not just about spreadsheets or account balances. It's about purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, well stated. I'll give you an example here. The article highlights financial advisors who recently worked with a couple in their second marriage. Each had children from the previous relationships. And the big concern was making sure their estate didn't accidentally cause conflict down the road between the beneficiaries. So they wanted to provide for each other during their lifetimes, but then also make sure the assets went to their own children and grandchildren as they intended.
Yeah, and that's a situation I think a lot of families can relate to, especially blended families trying to take care of everyone fairly without creating tension there.
Yeah, right. It's there's no single formula for that. Everyone's situation is a little different. In their case, they used a trust that gave each spouse financial security while ensuring their legacies were preserved for the right heirs. And what stood out wasn't just the technical design, it was the increased financial confidence it gave them. They could finally stop worrying about these what if scenarios and start focusing on enjoying their life together.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. And it sounds like what they really gained wasn't just a more thorough, enhanced plan, but confidence and clarity as well.
Yeah, and that sense of confidence is what many clients are ultimately seeking. Many people build wealth and then realize the numbers alone don't create that fulfillment that they're looking for. The turning point usually comes when they start asking, what is this money really for?
Well, and the answers to that are probably different for everybody.
Yeah, they are. For some, it's about making memories with family by traveling, celebrating life's milestones, or just spending more time together. For others, it's about supporting a cause or helping future generations get started on the right foot. Wealth aligns with purpose. The strategy becomes more financial and it becomes deeply personal in those cases.
But money can also be tricky, right? I mean, families don't always see eye to eye on these things.
Yeah, that's true. Spouses often have different money stories based on how they grew up. So one might value saving. The other might see money as a tool for enjoyment. Children, too, may assume their parents' assets are an inheritance just waiting for them instead of a resource to support their parents' own life goals.
So the key is, as in many cases, communication, right? That's huge.
Yeah, communication is so key. Having an open, honest conversation, whether it's just casual talk at the dinner table or an actual structured family meeting, it can make all the difference.
Yeah.
You want to explain why certain decisions are being made before you pass. It helps reduce that uncertainty and builds trust, even if not every detail is shared.
Yeah, you don't want there to be unpleasant surprises. I mean, like your situation, obviously, Ashton, you're going to want to sit your family down and explain to them why the bulk of what you leave after you pass will go to me and my family. I think that's important for them to understand how big of a role I play in your life and why I deserve certain things. So, wait, where's my rim shot on? Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. No, and again, it is important just to lay it out ahead of time so that nobody's wondering why.
Yeah, you communication again, and it's not just about family harmony. I mean, financial stress can take a toll on health and happiness too.
Yeah, I see that often. People who overwork to accumulate more, overspend to try to keep up appearances, keeping up with the Joneses is what they oftentimes call that. They sometimes end up sacrificing their own well-being. When your financial choices line up with your values, whether that's education, travel, charitable giving, or just simply slowing down to enjoy life, you may not only create a more stability, but also richer, healthier quality of life.
Yeah, I think that's such a great reminder because money is a tool, not a trophy, right?
For sure. I completely agree. And when you treat it that way, it becomes easier to build a strategy that serves your life instead of the other way around.
Let's talk about turning all of this reflection into action. So for anyone who's listening, thinking, okay, I get it. I want my finances to align with my life, but what do I do next? Where should they start?
That's a terrific question because redefining financial success just isn't about a mindset. It's about putting a few intentional steps in place, especially as we head into 2026. A little reflection on years past combined with some clear action can bring a lot of clarity in both your goals and in how you communicate those goals with your family.
So what's step one here?
Yeah, first you want to start by clarifying your values. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do. Take a few minutes to actually write down the principles that guide your financial decisions. Things like family security, charitable giving, lifestyle goals, or even leaving a legacy.
Almost like creating a mission statement for your money then.
Exactly. The list becomes your own personal filter for every financial choice you make. When you know what truly matters most, it's much easier to align your strategy to say yes or no to opportunities that come in front of you with confidence.
I like that. It takes the pressure off chasing every new idea or marketing swing and brings the focus back to purpose.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's easy to get caught up in the headlines of what's going on. And when purpose drives your strategy, you're not just reacting to what happens, you're steering your financial life with intention.
So step one is about clarifying your values or what really matters most. What comes next?
Yeah, step two, Tony, is prioritizing your objectives. Once you've got that list of values, it's time to separate your must-haves from your nice-to-haves.
Yeah, there you go. I like that one as well. That's a good line and really words to live by. So it's kind of like building a financial version of a grocery store because some things are essentials and others are good to have if there's room in the cart. And obviously pizza goes into the essentials category.
I was going to say that takes up most of the cart.
The pizzas,
as the essentials.
Yeah, sure.
But no, that's exactly it. You got it. For example, funding your child's education or maintaining long-term financial security might be non-negotiable. It's something you want to have built into the plan. But a vacation or home or a luxury upgrades might fall into the nice-to-have category. And both can be meaningful, but it shouldn't compete for those same dollars in your plan.
That makes sense. I guess if you try to chase every goal at once, it's easy to lose sight of what's really most important.
Yeah, again, prioritizing helps prevent those competing goals from derailing your strategy. It's not about cutting your dreams. It's about sequencing them in a way that helps you keep your strategy realistic and sustainable.
And it's probably a lot less stressful.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. And when you know which goals come first, your decisions get simpler and your progress feels a little more intentional.
So before we keep going with this conversation today, Ashton, let our listeners out there know how they can schedule a no charge, no obligation consultation, whether they just want to ask some questions, help build or adjust their financial strategy so they can stay on course toward their ideal retirement.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of us is give our office a call at 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703. And if it happens to be outside of business hours, just leave us a voicemail and we'll give you a jingle back. Or visit our website, pankinonfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. And while at my website, again, you can look at past shows, different articles that we have on there. And again, scheduling a consultation only takes a few minutes, and we're always happy to help and work around your schedule.
So we've clarified our values and set our priorities. What's the third step?
Step 3 is to define your legacy, and that one sparks the deepest conversations.
So legacy means who gets what after you're gone. Is that right?
Yeah, that's part of it, Tony. But it's actually broader than that. Legacy isn't just about who inherits your assets. It's about how you want to be remembered and what impact you hope to leave behind.
Okay, so it's more like the story people tell about you, not just the balance sheet once again.
Yeah, and for some, that might mean creating a family tradition that carries on through generations. For others, it could be supporting a charity, mentoring the next generation, or establishing a trust that continues to make a difference long after they're gone.
I love that perspective because it turns building that strategy from something purely financial into something that's meaningful and lasting.
That's the goal, Tony. When you define your legacy intentionally, your wealth becomes more than numbers. It becomes a reflection of your values and your life's purpose.
So let's see. We've clarified values, set priorities, and defined legacy. That's a pretty meaningful list already that you've lined up for us. What's step 4?
Yeah, step 4 is to engage a financial advisor. And this is where everything may start to come together.
And working with a financial advisor, meaning somebody like yourself who looks at more than just your investment performance, right?
Yeah, exactly. I actually had that conversation with a client this morning during a review. He's like, "What's the difference between you and an investment professional?" And again, it's the whole picture, that planning piece. And so we just don't focus on your portfolio returns. We can help you look at the full picture: taxes, enhanced planning, insurance needs, and even family dynamics. All of those factors affect your overall well-being and long-term confidence.
Yeah. It's kind of like having a financial coach or quarterback in your corner, somebody who can coordinate all these moving parts.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy. I like to call myself like Joe Montana if we're talking quarterbacks.
Okay.
One of the best out there.
Not gonna call yourself JJ McCarthy.
Not yet. Maybe
That's
maybe someday we'll see. Hopefully,
yeah. For
no,
now, we'll stick with Joe Montana. Sounds like a winner.
A safe bet there, yeah. But no, you want an advisor who asks questions that go beyond the numbers. Things like, what does security mean to you? How do your financial choices reflect your values? And again, when an advisor understands both your goals and your motivations behind those, we can help you build that strategy that truly supports your life.
And it sounds like an experienced financial services professional becomes not just a strategist, but a guide or a coach, right? That's a good analogy.
Yeah, that's right. The best strategy building relationships are collaborative. So you're working together to come up with them. You bring your own vision, and then we bring the expertise to help you make that vision work in real life.
Yeah, that's the big step. That's where people struggle. So we've made it to step 5. What's this piece of the puzzle?
Yeah, step 5 is to schedule a family conversation. It might sound simple, but it's one of the most meaningful steps you can take.
So you mean actually sitting down with your spouse or family members to talk through your strategies then?
Yeah, you nailed it. You want to bring your spouse, your kids, or even your future heirs into the discussion. Not necessarily to share every number or every document, but just to talk about what matters most to you. That one conversation can ease a lot of tension and prevent some misunderstanding later on.
I can imagine it also helps set expectations so that people aren't surprised or just guessing at your intentions.
For sure. When families talk openly about the priorities, values, and goals, it builds that understanding. Everyone gets on the same page, and it's much easier to preserve harmony when it comes time to put those strategies into action.
That's important. And I'm guessing those talks don't have to be formal or awkward. It could just be over dinner or during a family gathering.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. The setting doesn't matter nearly as much as the message, and so here's what's important to me and why is a lot of times how these conversations start. And those conversations can strengthen relationships and give financial strategies a lasting meaning.
Yeah. Now I think we're already to step 6. What's that?
Geez, time flies. Yeah. Step 6, just to check your alignment annually. This is the part that people might overlook, but it's really where long-term success often happens. And the number of clients I sit down with have been like, oh yeah, I haven't updated my will since my kids were babies, and they're grown and have babies of their own. And so it's definitely something that's important to look at.
Well, and that example you gave is a big one because you definitely want to check to make sure your beneficiary designations are right. I mean, life changes happen throughout a year, marriage, divorce, births, people passing. Update those beneficiary designations, do things like that, and meet regularly with your financial professional. It's like a yearly checkup for your financial health, isn't it?
Yeah, at least once a year, take some time to revisit your goals, see how they line up with your current financial strategy. Life changes and tax laws shift, markets move, family priorities evolve, and your strategy should evolve with those things as well.
I would say so, and that makes sense. Even the best strategy could drift off course if you don't review it regularly.
Yeah, and those annual reviews don't have to be complicated. They're simple opportunity just to ask, is the strategy still serving the life I want to live? If the answer is yes, great. And if not, we can make necessary adjustments and keep moving forward with confidence in your plan.
So really, it's not about perfection. It's about staying intentional, though.
Yeah, that's right. It's about staying engaged so your strategy remains a living, breathing reflection of your goals, not just stacks of paper in a drawer for when someday you pass, telling the kids to go grab them.
And what's the final step in this process? I think we're already on step 7.
Yeah. Step 7 is just to make sure you watch out for red flags. And these can show up in ways that have nothing to do with the numbers on the statement.
Yeah, like if your favorite pizza place closes, that's a red flag. You may have
a red flag.
You may have to downsize or move, right? And that could derail retirement plans. But in all seriousness, what kind of red flags should people actually be looking for?
Yeah, things like tense or avoided family conversations about money or stress that starts to affect your health and financial confidence. Another big one is just when you can't clearly answer the question, what is the money really for? If you're not sure, that's a sign it's time to pause and maybe realign those goals that you have there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to be able to answer that, right? Yeah. That's huge. So, I mean, it's probably less about catching mistakes and more about staying self-aware about these things.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, usually we can catch those mistakes we caught those from the beginning. We always start off with listing correct beneficiaries. Those are kind of common mistakes. Again, it's about staying self-aware, and nothing about this is perfect. It's about being intentional. The goal isn't just to grow the largest portfolio, it's to create a financial life that helps you support your well-being today and in the years ahead.
Yeah. And once again, I like that because you're saying success is defined by confidence about the future then, and not just about performance. I mean, performance obviously will always play a big part, but
yeah. And it's something we talk about briefly, but again, as we step into 2026, it's worth redefining financial success in broader terms with things like family harmony, health, fulfillment, and legacy. When your financial strategies align with those priorities, wealth becomes more than a measure of success. It becomes a tool for building more meaningful and a more balanced life.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about reflection and alignment today, but let's say somebody's been managing their finances on their own up to this point. Maybe they've used online tools or doing their own research, pen and paper. Why might 2026 be the right time to start working with someone like yourself if they haven't already?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people have done a solid job managing things independently, especially with all the digital tools out there. But 2026 is shaping up to be a year of transition between new tax structures under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, potential changes in interest rates, and just evolving estate laws, and the financial landscape is just getting more and more complex every year. So having a financial advisor by your side can help you navigate through all those things with more confidence.
Because again, it's not just about managing investments anymore. It's about keeping up with everything that affects those investments. And you can get deep in the weeds with that, can't you?
Yeah. And again, an experienced financial advisor, financial service professional just doesn't look at returns. We look at the full picture, your goals, your family, your tax exposure, even the stress level around money. Everybody's got a little different tolerance for that. So for someone just stepping into this kind of relationship for the first time, 2026 could be the ideal moment to start fresh with a strategy that reflects where life and the laws are headed.
I would guess a lot of people probably hesitate because they think they need to have a certain amount of wealth before it's going to make sense.
For sure. The very common misconception. The right time to seek advice isn't when you've made it, but when your financial life starts to feel more complex. And you don't want to manage it alone. Maybe you've changed jobs or starting a business, inherited some assets from a family member, or you're just trying to balance saving, spending, and giving wisely. A financial advisor can definitely help simplify some of this complexity.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And probably also you can provide an extra dose of confidence.
Absolutely. Having someone who understands your goals and keeps you accountable can relieve a lot of the pressure. And so again, it's about building a partnership that keeps your strategy adaptable as life evolves. And again, for you, this might be your first experience either with inheriting money or changing jobs and having an old 401k. But I've seen this hundreds of times. And so it's very important to bring a professional into play there.
Yeah, I think, again, if you've never worked with a financial services professional before, this would be an ideal time to start building that foundation.
Yeah, and again, it's a chance to move from hoping your strategy works to knowing it's built to support the life you want.
Yeah. And that's what you do for your clients, isn't it? I mean, you work so hard. You've helped so many people in this area, Ashton, really get on the right financial track, get a second opinion on where they're at, and work up an actual plan for their retirement. So they know, hey, I have enough money at this. I'll have enough money at this point in time to retire comfortably, to meet my personal goals. I know when I'm going to file for Social Security. Ashton's worked in inflation and healthcare costs into this thing. And I know that I'm going to have enough money to last as long as I do, right? Isn't that the goal?
Yeah, that's the goal. And again, people are living longer and longer. And so we want to make sure we have that strategy in place to last a long time. And again, everybody's picture is different. Some people want to do a lot of traveling and spending in retirement. And so their retirement's going to look different than someone who just wants to be able to spend time with their grandkids, maybe even babysitting, helping out their children with babysitting the grandchildren. And that's what they're looking for, not necessarily the high cost of traveling and different things like that. And so everybody's picture is a little different. And, we talked about this on past shows too. It's never too late to start. So 2026, that good old New Year's resolution's going to be there. And maybe that resolution is to start getting your affairs in order and your planning in order as far as strategies out there. And even if you're 10 years from retirement, it's still a good time to make sure we got everything in line.
Yeah, boy, if you're 10 years or within 10 years of when you might want to retire, you got to be working with a trusted financial services professional, because it's going to help you avoid costly mistakes. And there are things, the landscape is changing so fast with new tax laws, Social Security, Medicare, healthcare, inflation. The list goes on and on, right? Yeah.
The only constant, the only thing that doesn't change is everything's changing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, great show today. A lot of great information packed in. Before we go, let our listeners know one more time how they can get a hold of you and your team there to set up that no charge, no obligation consultation.
Yeah, again, the best way to reach us is call our office at 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703. Visit our website, pankininfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. And again, if you have any questions about retirement or your financial strategy, we'd love to help protect your savings and help you feel confident about the road ahead.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Ashton. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of the Pankinen Financial Perspective with our host, Ashton Pankinen.
Thank you for joining us for Pankinen Financial Perspective. Don't head into retirement without a plan for both your finances and your health. For more information, contact Ashton Pankinen at Pankinen Financial Group at 952-873-2703 or visit pankininfinancialgroup.com. Join us again soon for another episode of Pankinen Financial Perspective. Advisory services are offered by Ashton Pankinen LLC DBA Pankinen Financial Group, an investment advisor in the state of Minnesota.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.